guys. It's Ava. Welcome back to another whispering chat. This one is going to be a little longer than usual, so get comfy, grab a blanket, maybe some tea, and just relax with me. I have so much to talk about. Like, you guys, I don't even know where to start, but trust me, it's going to be good. Just some thoughts, some things on my mind. You know how it is. So, let's just vibe together for a bit. No rush, no stress, just us talking in the quiet. Welcome back, dear listener. I'm so glad you're here with me today. Let's take a moment to center ourselves, to truly just be. I want you to take a deep breath in with me and exhale slowly. Feel the weight of the world melt away, even if only for this brief moment. Today's episode is about something so close to my heart, embracing imperfection. I know, it's not always easy, is it? We're all constantly surrounded by reminders of how we should look, how we should act, how we should be. But what if, just for today, we allow ourselves to embrace the fact that we don't have to be perfect? What if we let go of that pressure and instead accept that our flaws are what make us beautifully human? I want you to remember this one thing. You are enough, just as you are. It's hard to internalize that sometimes, but it's the truth. Your flaws, your quirks, the things you don't love about yourself, they're all part of your story, your unique expression of this world. Take another deep breath and let yourself just be. You don't need to change a thing. We're here to embrace what is, what you are right now in this moment. Let's walk through this journey together, step by step. Let's talk about embracing our imperfections. Part 1, embracing our flaws, reflective and empathetic. Let's start by acknowledging something we all struggle with, our flaws. No one is exempt from them. We all have something we wish we could change, something we wish we could hide. Maybe it's the way we react when we're frustrated, or how we feel like we're not living up to our own expectations. Maybe it's a physical trait we're self-conscious about, or the fact that we're still healing from past wounds. I want you to hear this clearly. You are not broken. You're just human. And that's so much more beautiful than perfection could ever be. When we look at ourselves through the lens of imperfection, we begin to understand that we are a beautiful collection of experiences, moments, and growth. It's not about being perfect. It's about being real. It's about accepting the parts of ourselves that we wish we could hide, because those are the parts that make us whole. There's a powerful quote by John Steinbeck that goes, "Now that you don't have to be perfect, you can be good." And isn't that such a relief? We don't have to chase perfection. We just need to show up as we are, imperfect, messy, and real, and trust that's enough. I know it's hard to accept. I know how easy it is to feel like we're failing, especially when everything around us screams that we need to be flawless. But I want you to stop and think for a moment. What would it be like to let go of that pressure? What if you didn't have to be perfect to be worthy of love, of success, or of happiness? Part 2, the power of vulnerability. Let's talk about vulnerability for a moment. We often associate being vulnerable with being weak, but I want to flip that on its head. Vulnerability is courage. It's the strength to show up as your true self, even when you're scared. It's the willingness to be seen, flaws and all. And let me tell you something. It's where true connection happens. The thing is, when we hide our flaws, we hide who we truly are. We think that by masking our imperfections, we protect ourselves. But in reality, we create distance. When we embrace vulnerability, we invite others into our human experience. There's a beautiful quote by Brené Brown that says, "Vulnerability is is not winning or losing. It's having the courage to show up and be seen when we have no control over the outcome. And isn't that so powerful? It's in the moments where we have no control, where we feel exposed and raw, that we find the truest connection with others. Think about it. Have you ever felt a deep bond with someone because they shared something real with you? Something raw, unpolished, perhaps even painful. That honesty, that openness, it draws us in. It's the very thing that makes us human, not our perfection, but our willingness to be imperfect and still show up. Now, let's take this conversation inward. How often do you find yourself struggling with self-acceptance? I know it's not easy. Maybe there's a part of you that feels like you're not enough. Or maybe you have moments where you wonder if you'll ever be able to truly accept yourself, flaws and all. I want you to know right now that it's okay. Self-acceptance is a journey, not a destination. It's not about waking up one day and suddenly feeling perfect. It's about learning to love yourself through the mess, to forgive yourself for the mistakes, to acknowledge the parts of you that are still healing, and to embrace them with the gentleness they deserve. Close your eyes for a moment, if only in your mind, and take a slow, deep breath. Let the air fill your lungs, expanding gently, carrying with it the energy of renewal. Hold it there for a beat, feeling its presence within you. Now, exhale, releasing not just the breath, but the weight of self-judgment, the tension of expectations. As you do, whisper to yourself, or simply let the words settle within. I embrace myself completely, as I am. Let those words take root in your soul, not just as a passing thought, but as a truth, unshakable, undeniable. Part 4, the freedom in imperfection. Can you imagine the freedom that comes with embracing imperfection? When you stop striving to be perfect, something incredible happens. You release the need for external validation. You stop looking outside yourself for approval, and instead, you start giving yourself the love and grace you've been searching for. It's freeing, isn't it? To know that you don't have to earn your worth, that you don't have to be flawless to be worthy of love, success, and joy. You already are worthy, just as you are. There's a quote by Theodore Roosevelt that always sticks with me. He said, "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena." And I think that's such an important reminder. It's easy to get caught up in what others think, or to focus on what's not perfect. But what truly matters is showing up, trying your best, and being real with yourself. I want you to remember that. It's not about perfection. It's about the journey, the effort, the willingness to fall down, to get up, and to keep going. Because in the end, it's the imperfections that make your journey worthwhile. It's the very things you might see as flaws that others find beautiful, because they show you're real, you're raw, and you're alive. I know we've already covered a lot today, but I want to offer you one last thing to take with you, because I can't help but feel that many of us are facing something bigger than just our personal flaws. We're facing a world that demands so much from us, a world where expectations, often unrealistic, loom over us, telling us how we should look, how we should behave, how we should succeed. The truth is, we're all trying to juggle so many things at once. There's the pressure to perform at work, to maintain friendships, to keep up with social media, to be the perfect parent, partner, or even just the perfect version of yourself. It's exhausting, isn't it? The pressure to be constantly on, constantly striving, constantly achieving. But what if that's the trap? What if the more we push, the we lose sight of what really matters? What if, in our relentless pursuit of perfection, we're missing the beauty of simply being? The truth is, many of us are living in a state of constant comparison. We scroll through our phones, we see people with seemingly perfect lives, and we feel like we're falling short. Maybe it's an influencer posting their flawless vacation photos, a coworker who seems to have it all together, or even a friend who always seems to know the right thing to say or do. We look at others, and we think, why am I not doing that? Why am I not living like that? But I want to tell you something that might surprise you. Those perfect lives you see, they're often just snapshots. Behind every perfect photo, there's a real person. A person who feels the same insecurities, the same fears, the same struggles you do. The difference is, they're just showing you a polished version. And guess what? That's okay. It's okay to have moments that aren't shared with the world. It's okay to not have everything figured out. This is your reminder. You don't need to have it all together to be enough. You don't need to live up to some ideal to be worthy of love, success, or peace. The only thing you need to do is show up as yourself, the raw, real, beautiful, imperfect you. It's funny, isn't it? The more we try to achieve perfection, the more we realize it's a moving target. We can never quite reach it. And even when we do reach what we thought was perfection, it doesn't feel like we expected it to. That's the paradox of perfection. It's elusive. There's always something more to chase, always something better, always something else to fix. But this constant striving, it doesn't bring fulfillment. It doesn't bring peace. It brings burnout. It brings exhaustion. It brings self-doubt. I want you to think about that for a second. What if you didn't need to be perfect to be proud of who you are? What if your imperfections weren't something to hide, but something to embrace? What if you could take a step back from the pressure and allow yourself to just be, without having to be perfect? What if you could be proud of your scars, proud of your mistakes, proud of your growth? That's where true peace lies, in the acceptance that, while we can always grow, we are enough right here, right now. We don't have to wait for perfection to feel proud of ourselves. In fact, it's in the imperfections that we often find the most strength. However, you know, as a Christian, I believe God has the power to grant perfection in us, but it requires for us to will surrender to HSI will for our lives. I want to leave you with something that's been on my mind lately, something that I know so many of us struggle with: the need for approval. We all want to be liked, to be accepted, to fit in. But what if we stopped looking for approval from the outside world and started giving ourselves permission to live the life we want? I know that's easier said than done, but think about it. How often do we hold ourselves back because we're worried about what others will think? We worry about being judged, criticized, or not measuring up to someone else's standards. And in doing that, we silence our own voices. But here's a little secret. Your voice matters just as much as anyone else's. You don't need permission from anyone to live your truth. You don't need someone else's validation to walk your path. You are worthy of living life on your terms, of embracing your flaws, and of chasing your own version of happiness. The only person you need to prove anything to is yourself. Let that sink in. You are worthy, even without the approval of others. The only validation that matters is the one you give yourself. So, my friend, I hope this extra part has spoken to you. I know we're all navigating some tough waters, especially with everything that's been going on in the world. It's easy to feel like we're not enough, or that we'll never live up to the expectations others have for us. But I promise you, the only expectation you need to meet is the one you set for yourself. Your imperfections are not cracks in the masterpiece of your soul. They are brushstrokes in the art of your existence, the verses in the poetry of your being. You do not need to chase perfection to be deserving of life's most beautiful gifts. They are already yours to claim. So walk forward, boldly, gently, as you are. Show up, not as the world expects, but as your truest self. And know this, you are enough. You always have been. You always will be. And remember the words of Theodore Roosevelt. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly. You are the one in the arena, striving, growing, living, and daring to be yourself. You are enough. You always have been. You always will be. Until we meet again, take care of your heart, let your spirit breathe, and remember, you are deeply, endlessly loved, exactly as you are.